Talk back. Who's to blame for forced spending cuts? You know, sequestration. It is exhausting. Imagine playing the blame game day after day after day.
I'm not really willing to discuss it in the framework that he's made up for himself. I mean, for goodness sakes, it was his proposal. You know, he proposed the sequester. It was his idea. He signed it into law. And now he's going to tell us that, it's all our fault.
He, as in President Obama, but does Senator Paul realize that according to The Atlantic, the Senate has not passed major legislation in 952 days? Allow me to let that sink in. 952 days of nothing much. Seriously, who really cares who's to blame? In 8 days, if Congress doesn't act, $1.2 trillion worth of spending cuts will begin. And according to the Congressional Budget Office, if that happens, 750,000 jobs will be lost over the next 7 months, and the economy will slow again. And won't that be fun? As for the president, he's sitting down with local news anchors to urge Congress to act, while his men continue to play that exhausting blame game.
We can't do anything without the House Republicans doing something, and their view is these cuts should happen. They have made a political decision that these automatic cuts should go into effect, which means that there are Americans working today who will lose their jobs. That's a choice they're making.
Whatever, just do something. So talk back question today. Who's to blame for forced spending cuts? You know, as in sequestration. And I'm going to go to Amy Kremer first because, as you know, some people would blame the Tea Party for this. What do you say?
No, Carol, it's not. You can't blame the Tea Party. I think there's enough blame to go around. As Senator Paul said, it did originate with the president and the White House. But guess what? The House and the Senate both agreed to it and passed it. The bottom line is, contrary to what everybody believes, the Tea Party movement knows that the spending started under President Bush, and it has accelerated over the past 4 or 5 years. Our government is out of control, and we have to rein in the spending. And what is horrible is that the Department of Defense and all these departments knew this was coming, and they did nothing about it. They sat back and thought Washington will figure it out at the last hour. Well, you know what? It's $85 billion. When you're overspending $1.6 trillion a year, let the cuts happen. It's not even really cutting. All it does is slow the rate of growth. We have got to rein in the spending. It's our biggest threat to national security.
Roland.
Well, Amy, where are the Tea Party rallies on Capitol Hill then? What are the Tea Party folks mobilizing across the country like they were during the first term of the president? First of all, I agree with you. I don't believe the defense somehow should be off the table. But the question is the Tea Party, are they rallying in Virginia? Are they rallying in these states where these defense jobs are? So don't just say it on television. Mobilize your people to say to Republicans in Congress, make it happen.
That's the whole thing. The media doesn't cover us the way they used to because we're no longer out in the streets. We're engaging. It's 2.0, and we're lobbying our officials in every way that we can. We're absolutely engaged. What's that?
Take it to the streets. The media is going to cover you when you take it to the streets.
Roland, you know what? Having a rally, all it does is give a visual for the media to show. That's not really affecting change. The real change happens outside of a rally.
Well, Maria,
Amy has a point. I'm happy to be there.
She has a point, right?
Yes, and so I agree with a lot of what Amy said, except for the House Republicans didn't just agree to it. Speaker Boehner is on the record with a PowerPoint talking about sequestration, about how he wants to use it for leverage to get what he wants out of this administration. And we have a poll out today, USA Today Pew Research poll out today that says that if these spending cuts do go through and middle-class families who will be the ones most devastated by this start feeling this, 50% of Americans will blame Republicans. Less than a third will blame this president. And that is the quandary that Republicans find themselves in. And also in that same poll, and we've seen it again and again and again, majorities of Americans agree with the way this president wants to approach the debt and the deficit issue, and that is in a balanced way. Yes, we need spending cuts. Yes, we need to reduce all of the government spending that Amy is talking about. But we can't just do it by cutting. Majorities of Americans Americans agree that the richest Americans still need to put more revenue on the table, and that's why this president
what I'm wondering
is
through all of
focused on
this,
that.
what I'm wondering through all of this, Rich, is why we're still arguing over the same thing. Like, should it be balanced, and should we raise taxes, or should we just do like we've been arguing about this for like what, 5 years now?
Well, probably for 270, however many years since 1789. But I wrote a column about this the other day, and I got a lot of thoughtful responses from readers of Mullings about how this was going to affect them individually, and they were individual people are going to be harmed by this. It's nice to be able to sit back and think lofty thoughts, but the fact is that almost everybody gets something from the federal government in terms of services that cost money or money that cost money, and the members of Congress and the president and everybody and the people that receive it are all to blame because nobody wants to give up on whatever they think is most crucial to them in their lives.
That's
and
right.
I'm not smart enough to solve it, but I do know that we're not going to get out of this without everybody saying, okay, here's what I'll throw into the pot. Let's see what you got.
Well, I'll keep all my digits crossed. All right, what of our Facebook friends saying about this? I got to get to our friends now. This from Ariel. Tea Party Republicans are to blame. If all these workers are laid off and fired, how do we make up for those lost income taxes and sales taxes without their income? Come on now. This from Jim. Sequestration was Obama's idea so he could get out of budget talks and go on the campaign trail. Keep the conversation going. Facebook.com/CarolCNN or tweet me at CarolCNN.